Hello? Oh, hey guys. Yeah, Abdul, I remember. I'll take over from you. Thanks. So, what is cheese? Cheese is a dairy product derived from milk and produced in wide ranges of flavors, textures, and forms by coagulation of the milk protein casein. It comprises proteins and fats from milk, usually the milk of cows, buffaloes, goats, or sheep. During the production, the milk is usually acidified and the enzymes of rennet are added to cause the milk protein casein to coagulate. The solid, which is the curds, are separated from the liquid whey and pressed in final form. Some cheeses have aromatic folds in the rind, the outer layer, or throughout. Most cheeses melt at cooking temperature. So, the types of cheese. Yes, there are many types of cheese, namely cheddar, blue, American, mozzarella, and thousands of other types. It mainly depends on the technique, temperature, and other ingredients specific to specific cheese. Let's move on. Ingredients needed in order to make the cheese are milk, preferably warm and fresh, culture of any qualified company, and rennet, which is also commonly known as the enzyme culture, and also scientifically protease enzyme. Oh, we will also need salt for the aging process, which is highly recommended but not compulsory. Moving on. The apparatus required. We need the thermometer to keep record of the temperature, knife, mold, which is optional, box, Bunsen burner or stove, a cheese press or any type of bakes, and a cloth with brush, or to go professional, with cheese knives. Okay guys, now we can start with the cheese making process. The first step is heating and acidification. In this step, we will be heating the milk to its key temperature and acidified with cultures. This can also be done by adding a little lactose from pre-made curd or other ingredients found at home. After the optimum temperature of 87 degrees Celsius has been achieved, we can add the culture or ingredient being used for the process. We need to also be aware that this is the first split down the road. The technique in which you acidify the milk will lead to different types of cheese. One needs to let the culture stay for a few minutes before stirring it in to avoid it sinking down to the bottom and forming clumps of highly acidified milk or curd. The next significant step is the coagulation of the milk. This process is typically fulfilled by adding rennet to the acidified milk. We can add any coagulant which can join and bring together the protein particles in the milk to form a gel-like semi-liquid. For those of you wondering, rennet is a very commonly used coagulant which causes the protein in the milk to link together. But rennet is a little bit vague. It is a protease that can be attained from various organisms and techniques. For example, there is a type of rennet called microbial rennet which is obtained from fungi, while vegetable or bacterial rennet comes from recombinant bacteria. There are also a few rennet that are derived from the stomach or intestinal juices of animals. Back to the cheese making process. Now, we have to cut the curd and later cook it to enhance the flavor. It needs to be cut from the big globule it is into smaller chunks or pieces, but it isn't as easy as it seems. Just massacring it with a knife? No. This step decides the dryness and texture of the cheese, and it also determines what type of aging it should go through and why. So the smaller chunks, the lesser moisture the final cheese will hold. This also means you can preserve it for a longer duration of time, and vice versa. Also, the more aged the cheese, the more tastier. Depending on the cheese that you are making, you are needed to stir the pieces in the vat for several minutes or even an hour. It is recommended that you turn up the heat and stir it while the cheese cooks itself. During this phase, the most important thing that is happening the curds is that the acids continue to develop inside the curd, and from the motion of stirring, the curds are drying out. The more you cook and the more you stir, the drier your cheese will be. Washing is the process of removing some of the whey from the vat and replacing it with water. This creates a milder, sweeter, more elastic cheese and cheese paste. Hence, we cook it in water to help enhance the taste and get the best cheese possible. Finally, it is time to separate the curds from the whey and excess water. You might do this nearly final step by simply dumping the contents of the pot into a colander in a sink. You might wait about 10 minutes to let the curds settle at the bottom and then press the curds together at the bottom of the pot before bringing them up and out of the pot in chunks. In this step, you could also use a sieve or, as mentioned earlier, a muslin cloth. It is possible to press the cheese with any even pressure and get the same result. Generally, we work quickly at this point in the process because we want to conserve the heat into the curds, encouraging them to mush back together to form a nice, smooth wheel. If we wait too long, the curds get cold and the cheese falls apart, making disoriented and a more broken up cheese. The last step of the cheese making process is aging and salting. Even though it is not compulsory to do this step to get the cheese, but it is highly recommended and enhances the taste and overall properties of the cheese. If you want, it is perfectly fine to consume the cheese made at this stage. Once the curds have been separated from the whey, you can add salt. If a cheese is salted, properly acidified, and has the correct amount of moisture inside, it can be aged into something more complex. Otherwise, the result wouldn't be as significant as shown in the video. Before I forget, in order to do this step, you also need to either wax the cheese or wrap it in a cloth. This is because the drier cheese often tend to develop cracks and sort of dismantle. When done, you need to keep the aging cheese in a 52 to 56 degree Fahrenheit temperature room with enough moisture. The only maintenance needed is you turning the cheese around and flipping it over occasionally so that all the sides get the moisture equally and the difference can be visible on all sides. Hey guys, you made it till the end. Congratulations on making your first cheese and also learning the whole science behind it in the process. No video is possible without references. As you can see in the screen, I mainly used Animeagle for the video making, cheese making and instructables for most of my content, and Wikipedia for clarifications and many images. My base was my personal knowledge and my Cambridge secondary biology textbook. Lastly, thanks for watching and bye.